Hello, my name is Daryl Prince. This is a recruitment video for the Call for Unity and its associated subgroups, mitochondria and the nucleus. I'm Daryl Prince, been an activist and nerd extraordinaire for many years. This is the point of these organizations that I am recruiting you for is to give you a chance to make the world a better place that no politician can touch, to connect with other people, to use the power of numbers, that small, measured, very real contributions to our greater world and greater society across lots and lots of people, especially at the same time, make an absolutely humongous difference, like a complete shift beyond what we could normally think about. So I'm outside the Thomas Jefferson building in Washington, D.C., across from them guys, and Supreme Court's over there. So just the facts on this. I mean, currently as we speak, we're been going through our latest iteration of nonsense wars in the Middle East, and the climate signals are flashing red. It is right now going to be closer to 80 degrees, and people are wearing shorts in the early April, which I enjoy, but also it's kind of sort of Damocles, which is when this ruler who didn't like a person asked him to sit in on his throne, and then he let him go sit on his throne, but then he tied a sword with a string on it so that if anything happened to the string, the sword would literally fall down and go right through the guy that he didn't like, which is some cold ruler shit to do. Yeah, I mean, global warming, we're way ahead of schedule. As 10 years ago, and certainly based on lots of other people's work, Hansen especially, who's still doing some of the best work out there, way faster than predictions. I mean, it's a fact. And we put 40 pounds per person per day of insulation. We knew that it was insulation about the time Thomas Jefferson of the Jefferson Building was in the White House. So that's when we learned about gases warming the Earth, was when Jefferson was in the White House. We proved it in 1856, and formally removed in like 1860. So we knew that carbon dioxide warmed the Earth before we invented cars. That was 1887 by Benz in Germany. So we have to do something about it. It's going to require mass scale, and there's a lot of the considerations which haven't been taken care of. The wars in the Middle East, I mean, are just a tragedy beyond belief. Tragedy for Jew, Christian, Muslim, and I think and for American citizens. I think in general it begs the thought of, what duty do we owe as citizens of, of our country, of America, of our respective religions, whether it's Judaism or Christianity, or even for Muslims. Like, the actions going on there are not good, and where the laws of God and man do not conflict, there should be no doubt. And yet, here we are paying for a war of neighbors, and whether you're a Christian or a Jew or a Muslim, paying for wars of neighbors. And wars are usually between neighbors, so it's kind of tough, but that you need to find some sort of resolution in Jesus' homeland if you're a Christian, or honor your neighbor if you're Jewish, or honestly if you're Christian as well. It's pretty obvious. So would Jesus want us or people bombing his homeland? Objectively, no. You don't have to be even in the religion to know that. I mean, it's pretty obvious from the books. And if you don't know that, you're not fairly clear on that, I suggest you reread the books and then find a new teacher who can kind of work you through it. Because if you're understanding the Bible as such that Jesus would want bloodshed in his homeland, you don't really understand the things. And if you're paying for it and being like, it's okay, you don't really understand the thing. As far as Judaism, like the current mess passes the Jewish law of retaliation, which actually comes from Hammurabi's code, an eye for an eye. So, but it sounds brutal where, oh, somebody took out my eye, so I gotta go take out their eye or whatever, and then it leaves the whole world blind. But most people don't understand what an eye for an eye really is. It's a legal constraint where, the most you can take is an eye. So it's supposed to limit the total action. And before that, and we see that here, people will go and they'll say, oh, somebody hurt me, and so I'm going to, decimate his family and kill all the brothers and sisters or whatever, or something crazy like that because he, stepped on my sneakers or something. No, the law of retaliation, an eye for an eye, means it's supposed to be proportional to what actually happened. And in Jewish laws, I don't pronounce the names. It's Bezultov and yeah, I mean, ancient Hebrew is not necessarily my forte yet, but they clarified, and it's generally supposed to be money compensation for those kinds of injuries, and not actual eyes or legs or whatever. So the war that's going on is plainly outside of Jewish law. It's also honor thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's stuff, wife, house, and also generally just honor the neighbor. And so if you're bombing the neighbor, that's not honoring them, and that's not with the Ten Commandments. Also, don't bomb on the Sabbath, which has been violated. Do not kill. There's obviously in most societies we allow for some exceptions, but it has to be for some sort of need or want, and there's none of that there here. So I feel like it's a major fall for all of us. So we should talk about those things. The amount, as an American citizen, the amount of cost, what the amount of money could do in different cities and states, and it's a conversation that we need to have about a lot of things. And it's not that any one group is completely right, although one is sort of more consistently wrong about certain things, about our need to go to war, and about whether or not tax cuts increase government revenue is ridiculous. But that we need to upgrade and start to move towards the 21st century is not a thing for which I think there's much discretion. And that's also a way to positively build for the future. We're running on basically 1920s building technology where we have, very much 21st century modes of communications, the phone I'm talking to you on, and the ones that, pretty much everybody has nowadays, that are better than magic mirrors that we thought about 30 years ago and are more advanced than what Star Trek used to have. So we are living in the future, but I mean, like a lot of our buildings and the way we build buildings and what we build them out of and how we build sidewalks, like softer sidewalks, better drainage, less heat islands in cities, and probably I like to drive, but cars in most cities don't make a whole lot of sense. And mass transit, although people, I love my car, everybody loves their car. I mean, that's a thing, but it's your chariot. You're just like you'd like your horse or whatever, but they also don't ride horses anymore. So at some point you have to figure out what the next thing is and move to it. And if you're burning 40 pounds per person per day of carbon dioxide, and there's 300 million people, and it starts warming the earth and increasing the rate of our possibility of extinction from negligible to almost non-existent, all the way up to now where it's very significant, and we may have to do very drastic things to stop it. Which is where we're at. Actually, we have to. But there are things that you can do, and the two things that in this thing I want folks to do, which is sort of create a monoculture around information, and so we understand the same things at the same time. So we check into sort of a social networking service once a week, and then two, we agree to live green or move ourselves and our money towards upgrading our physical infrastructure, or transportation towards next generational things, and that becomes our focus, because you know, regardless of who's in power right now, you know, there's some bad things about being in a capitalist society, but one of the things that is good is that the power of the people, at least the power of the people with some money, makes a huge difference to a lot of people. And signing into the same service over and over again creates a Silicon Valley profit center. And then if you say, I'm going to upgrade my house to living green, that creates, and then we get real numbers and say we get up to 1 million people. That sends a multi-billion-dollar market signal, and that's without even before any money actually transfers. Although at some point some would have to in order for it to maintain. So you can develop a huge presence and a thing for which, you know, will change, you know, the scope of society, with you just doing your part, committing to your part, checking in, doing polls, and also this other commitment to, you know, if you rent, I'm going to live in the first sort of greenhouse, and we have to collectively decide what greenhousing is, but it's interesting things like light piping and virus suppression systems, and more sunlight generally, but also lighting, daylight lighting, and sound insulation, and next generation thermal insulation, your house in a thermos, a couple other things I'm not completely getting to at this moment, but all of that can be in a small package, and it's really something like once a week. And then what we're going to do is start building centers where you can have next generation technology development centers that people come to and see where it is and learn about science and technology, but also have a good time with the kids, and have a reasonable rate of expenditures for it. Then we'll start to move into, you know, doing sort of a consumer reports of it, and then also on-site sort of demonstrating, you know, how insulation works, and then just have fun events there and other forums and things like that. So that basically your commitment is to, you know, when you get a chance to go down to one of those, and then, you know, we're going to try to have like, we're also going to try to generate a little bit more of a local music scene on the same path, because art, culture, knowledge, and infrastructure, I mean, let's try to hit it all up, and let's try to make this a better world by doing better for ourselves and for others. So right now I'm at infy.alg0rhythm.uk. I am obviously not in the UK. This is not the UK. I look forward to talking to you again soon, and to the next one being written out rather than sort of freeballed out to the people. So have a good day. Good luck. God bless.